YouTube. I'm feeling fancy. I'm off to brunch to go drink mimosas and forget about my late husband. Why is that what I think of when I think of fancy? Oh well. Hello YouTube. My name is Monique, everyone's favorite mermaid, and welcome back to my channel. This week, still no theme for my makeup. And honestly, I'm double filming. I just changed clothes. I'm trying, okay guys? I'm trying to make sure I got some stuff for you. That way when I film, I got all the stuff for y'all. This week, I'm gonna piggyback off of last week's video. Last week, I talked about my tattoos. This week, I'm gonna talk all about our body modification care. Sometimes people don't necessarily think about their tattoos or the piercings that they've had for so long, and then they just forget about it and it's like, oh, this is my skin, but you should still be taking care of it. Big, tip number one, if you're going out in the sun, it doesn't matter for how long, if you have tattoos, use sunscreen. Because you're gonna fade the colors out, you're gonna fade the black, you're gonna fade the line work. It's just it's not, you'll still get a tan. Because I know that people like myself, I do enjoy getting tan. But you spent a good chunk of money on this art. And you want it to look good. But you don't want this faded out, nasty looking tattoo. You gotta take care of your tattoos. If it does start to fade out and start to look gross, you can always go back to your tattoo artist and get a touch-up. They're completely okay with that. I don't exactly know the prices for touch-ups, but I'm sure you can talk to your artist and see what they're willing to do, because they want their art on you to look just as good as you want it to look good on you. Tip number two, as far as piercings go, you don't have to clean them as often once you've had it for a while. I tend to clean my belly button ring once a week to every 2 weeks now, but I like to keep it clean so it doesn't get infected because it's kind of wonky, like I explained in my last video. But if you go swimming in swimming pools or lakes or rivers or oceans, there's all sorts of bacteria in that water, and if it gets in your nipple piercings or your belly button piercing, your ear piercing, wherever you have pierced, that's gonna get infected and it's gonna get all gross. And depending on how infected it gets, you could potentially lose that piercing. You don't want to do that. You spent lots of time and money just keeping it clean. You've probably bought several different things for it. You've got 5 different belly button rings. Heaven forbid if you get a clit piercing and then it falls off because it gets infected. You don't want that to happen. You want to keep all your body parts where they're supposed to be. Oh yeah, just make sure you clean it like you would have when you first got it. Get you some Bactine, cotton swabs, antibacterial soap. But even if it's not in the summer, if you have tattoos, you also want to keep them moisturized. If they're all, if it's the winter or the fall and it gets really cold where you are, and if your tattoos get all ashy, they don't look good. So then again, you don't look good. And you want to look good, and you want to make the artist who does it look good, because people will be like, wow, that's a really nice tattoo. Where'd you get it done? Word of mouth is the greatest for tattoo artists, because people will look at you and go, damn, that's really good. Where'd you get it? I want to get that artist to tattoo me. And then your tattoo artist gets more money. And then if you go back and be like, hey, I referred a friend. Some tattoo artists do that. Not all tattoo artists do that. But they're like, hey, I'm going to refer a friend. And they're like, oh, sweet, cool. I'll give you 10% off of your tattoo. I don't quite know how that works. I know a couple artists have done that. I have a couple friends who have artists like that. My artists really do that. And again, I've never really asked. But yeah, nonetheless, word of mouth, if somebody likes your tattoo, you're helping your tattoo artist out, you're helping you out, you look good. You just want to look good. Make sure you change your belly button or your piercings. As far as for me goes, I only have a belly button ring right now. If you use cheap jewelry, you want to change that often, because if you get basically a colored metal, if it's not well done, the paint will come off of the metal and into your belly button, or the piercing hole itself, your belly button. the skin around it. And you want to keep that clean because then again, you can cause rips, it'll cause bacterial infections, it'll cause a lot of things. And back to that, you don't want to lose your body parts. I mean, unless you're into that. If you want to get a new tattoo, the spring and the summer is not, or depending on the kind of, in Texas, spring is basically just a slightly less hot summer. Some other areas it's not quite like that. But spring and summertime isn't necessarily the season I would suggest getting tattoos. Because you have to give it time to heal. It literally has to become part of your body. Like my tattoo is still a little raised, so but not much, it's like just this big line right here. But everything else is mixed in with my skin. You're essentially injuring your body. You're breaking the epidermis and adding something that your body's not used to. Your body has to re-heal and get used to what you've added to your system. And so you can't do anything extreme like sun exposure or going swimming or anything intense because that could mess up your healing process and then your tattoo isn't gonna look as good. The recommended time of year or at least for me personally, because it makes it easier to avoid things, I like to get tattoos in the fall and the winter, just because I don't have to worry about overexposing it in the sun or making sure that I don't go swimming. I make sure I washed it enough and I keep it moisturized, that way it heals faster, and then by the time summer gets here, I don't really have to worry about it except for just putting sunscreen on it and making sure I don't spend too much time in the summer and I stay hydrated to keep my skin hydrated. It also goes for piercings. I wouldn't get, like, I know nipple piercings are a really big thing right now. If you want to get your nipples pierced, do that in the winter or the fall because you can't go swimming. That will get infected from lake water, beach water, pool water, well water. I don't necessarily know if we can consider this I'm gonna lump it in body modifications. If you do fun colors with your hair, anytime your hair gets wet, the color bleeds out, which anybody knows. However, if you swim in things like chlorine, that is already so bad for your hair. Like, it dries your hair out, and then the fact that you've already bleached it and processed it and colored it, don't do it. You're gonna fuck your hair up. Especially if you're a blonde. The chlorine can actually not only break your hair, could potentially turn it green. And depending on if your hairstylist did it right and they made sure your cuticle was locked, but in some cases they don't lock it with the cold water and they forget, because humans make mistakes. If you wear your hair up in a bun and then you come in contact with high amounts of chlorine, your hair will break, but it will all stay in this ball. Then you will literally have to cut the ball off the top of your head and you're gonna be bald. You don't want that. But ultimately, if you have colored hair, you don't want to come anywhere in contact with chlorine. It's just a big, big no-no. Don't use Vaseline-based products for your tattoos. I don't exactly remember why, but I remember something in the Vaseline deteriorates the ink in your skin and it will make it fade. So you don't want Vaseline-based anything because it's not good for your tattoo. So when choosing something for your tattoos, a lot of tattoo artists recommend Aquaphor. I've used that for almost all of my tattoos, except for this one, because the artist specifically said unscented lotion, but that was because we were in a different climate area. I would recommend ultimately just asking your tattoo artist what they recommend. 90% of the time they will tell you Aquaphor or unscented lotion. In the first beginning stages of washing your tattoo, antibacterial soap, unscented, is the best option. Just because your body wash is already in the shower, I would not recommend using that. I literally will go around my tattoos with my body wash and then wash my tattoos with my antibacterial soap. After it becomes fully part of your skin, then you can use your body wash. Also, after you get out of the shower, moisturize religiously. Not just because of your tattoos, but literally it keeps you from being a wrinkly old person. There's nothing wrong with wrinkles, but I'm just trying to keep my skin nice and supple. I also don't really like dry skin, to be honest. I am always using lotion, and I have extremely soft skin. my boyfriend happens to enjoy that. Alright, but I think that's all the time we have for this week's video. If you want more body modification tips, or tattoo care tips, or piercing care tits? Did I say tits? If you want more tattoo or piercing care tips, or you want just more things about tattoos and piercings or hair color, comment down below. If you like this video, be sure to give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more on my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And I will see all you mer people next week.